everybody. Hi, it's Becky from PowerToolsWithThread.com. That's my blog. I am going to do a embroidery project with you. This is the Kimberbell Cozy Mini Wall Hanging. Kimberbell had sent this file to its subscribers for free, and it was only free through the 9th of January. And some of you had asked me, you said you missed the notice and you couldn't get the file, and could I send it to you? And I'm sorry, I can't do that. That would be violating Kimberbell's proprietary policy. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I know lots of you got the file and are anxious to get started on it. So I'm going to do that. Now, for those of you who didn't get it, Kimberbell told me, I called there and I said, hey, any chance I can get another couple of days on the link? And they were like, no, sorry. But they did tell me they have a free penguin mug rug project on their website, and I will link to that in the description box below. Maybe we can get to it together, but if not, following along with me in this particular video, you should be able to go ahead and do whatever it is that you need to, because Kimberbell is known throughout the industry for the best instructions that are out there. If you once you downloaded the files, and you should print out your instructions, the very first page has the materials that are needed for the small, which fit into the 5x7 hoop, and the back page has the materials needed for the large, or the medium, which fits into the 6x10 hoop. So pay attention to that. If you want to make the larger size, you're going to cut the fabrics that are on the second page. Kimberbell will also give you a template of how your fabrics are going to be laid out in the project itself. And in order to do that in this project, I went ahead and put together a project board of the fabrics I'm going to use. I'm going to do the 5x7. And so I'm doing I just did a fabric board, project board of, the top, the middle, and the bottom pieces. They recommend you use Shape Flex stabilizer on the back, fusible stabilizer on the back of the sheet to give it a little bit more body. It should be able to hold the stitches then, and you won't get a whole lot of puckering. You also are going to need a scrap of batting and some fabric for your backing. So I have hooped my 5x7 hoop with a medium weight tearaway. I also like to use the June Taylor Quilter's Cut and Press. I use this all the time when I'm working at the machine. If I'm going to iron something down, I have an ironing board right there, and I have a little iron that's heating up right now. And then if I want to do like a finger press, I have one of these tools. I'll link to all this below, and I can use it to kind of crease. If you don't have an iron, a little iron there, you can just crease. You can run this and crease the fabric, and it really works quite well. The first thing we're going to do is get the design from the computer over to the machine. I have a folder in my documents library. I have a folder called embroidery, and in my embroidery folder I have all different kinds of embroidery files, and I have one just for Kimberbell so that I can keep track of what I have where. I am using Embrilliance is my software of choice, and one of the beauties about Embrilliance is that you don't have to buy every piece of it. You only need to buy the piece that you need. It's an a la carte embroidery system, and I absolutely love it. But one of the things I do want to do is have a printout of the embroidery. So I'm going to make my folder here just a little bit smaller. And here's my cozy winter wall hanging. And I'm going to get the small, and I'm going to just grab a hold of it and drag it over, and there it is right there. Now, one of the beautiful things that I have going on here is I am using the Brother Luminaire embroidery machine that has been loaned to me from All Brands very graciously, and I need to get this file over to the machine. Instead of saving it to a USB And then carrying it over there, I'm going to click Utility. And there's a, right here, this menu says Send to Solaris XP1. I'm going to do that. It wants to know the design name. I'm going to call it Cozy Wall Hanging. And click OK. And the file has been sent to the machine. How awesome is that? Now I'm going to print out the design, and it's going to give me not only the design itself with crosshairs, but it's also going to give me a stitch print out sheet, which is very helpful. So we're ready to go to the machine. One of the things I really like to use when I'm doing machine embroidery is this little thread tree. I got this on Amazon, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, and I use it all the time. This one only has 10 spools. They have other ones out there now that have more. I can't find this one anymore that just has a 10. But I love it because it comes with a bunch of different size spool caps, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is great. And I take the thread and get it ready and just put the little tail up here in the spring. It makes everything so much better. It completely improves your workflow, your work process. Everything is great. You can tell I've got different kinds of thread here. I've got, this is Isocord and this is Madeira Poly Neon. And I'm just using the colors that I need to make it work. So anyway, I've got this all set up. I like to do this ahead of time, and I put it right back behind the machine where it is not going to get in the way of the hoop moving around. So, and it's designed for that. It's got cutouts in the back, to allow the hoop to get by it and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to stitch this. So in order to get, we sent the file, the design file, to the machine, and I'm going to go into embroidery, and I'm going to go to the memory, the pocket. You can get it from a USB, you can get it from your computer if you're cabled to your computer, you can get it from a chip you might have inserted, but I want to get it from the wireless, and here it is right here, Cozy Wall Hanging. All right, set. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to hit embroidery, and it's ready to go. So according to the instructions, step number 1, fold back piece 1 in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, and press well. So this is where I was getting at. It's really nice to have this quilter's cut and press, because I don't have to get up and walk around and, go to the iron all the time. I can just do it here. And I have my little clover iron right here. And then number 2, with an iron fuse woven interfacing to the wrong side of background piece 6. I have already done that. I already have interfacing on here. You can tell by the way it kind of stands up on its own. So this is done. Hoop stabilizer only. We're on step number 3. Hoop the stabilizer only. Load the Kimberbell medium cozy winter wall hanging or the small wall hanging embroidery file into the machine. We've done that. Now we need to stitch the batting placement line directly on the stabilizer. Now this is step 4 right here. Stitch the batting placement line. So this is the line that's going to be stitched. They give it to you in a dotted line so you can see what's going to happen. And this is a machine step. There is no requirement right here. You don't see a spool with the, if you see a spool like this with a little color thread going through it, that means it matters what color you're using for your thread. If you don't see that, it doesn't matter what color thread you're using. You can use whatever color thread you want. What I normally do is I go to the first step where I do see the color thread and put that one in so I don't have to switch it a whole bunch. It doesn't matter what color thread we're using until we get to step 16. So on step 16, we're going to stitch the main background quilting stitch. Since my main background is white, I'm going to go ahead and thread white into the machine for color number 1, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm just trying to save myself a step. I'm going to reach up here to my number 1, and I'm going to go ahead and run it through the guide so that the machine thinks it's pulling from one of these spools right here. It just makes me feel better. I like to run my thread through this little guide here. It's not required, but I do it out of habit and I like it. So I have another piece of thread in here that is from another project. I'm gonna throw that away. These machines are very easy to thread. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't really mess it up. So you just follow the numbers. I like to do a little seesaw action there where I know those tension discs are. And then I'm going to come down to number 5, up through number 6, bring it around and thread. Very handy. So we're still on step number 4, stitch the batting placement line directly on the stabilizer. All right. So I'm just going to, this is all ready to go. I don't have to do anything with it in the machine at all. I'm going to put the foot down and it's going to do its thing. All right. Step number 5. Place the batting on top of the stabilizer, completely covering the placement line. When you're placing batting, batting has 2 sides. It has what's called a scrim, which you can feel some little bumpies on there, and then it has a real soft side. Okay, here's the scrim. I don't know if you can see it. They feel like little bumps. Every batting has it that is natural. You don't get this in your polys, but you will have it on a natural batting. And the way you remember which way to put the batting is the bumps are like little pimples, and you don't want your pimples to show, so you put them down. I've heard that over and over. I didn't make up that analogy. Now, step 6. Step 6, stitch the piecing template. So now the piecing template is going to stitch out on top of our batting. Step number 7 says place piece 1. So it's showing to place piece 1 right side up, completely covering section 1. So you can tell by the next, on B, there's a red dotted line, and that is piece 1 trimming and piece 2 placement line. So piece 1 looks like a little 1 by 3/4 inch, if that, little square. So I'm going to use this for piece 1. I'm going to completely place it over the square. It had you make a 2 by 2, okay? So I'm going to put the foot down and go next. So now it's going to tack down. This is B right here. So B, stitch the piece 1 trimming, piece 2 placement line. So now we need to trim fabric close to the stitch line, and you see they only show to go to the middle. They're not asking you to trim any other way, okay? So you just need right now, just trim that. And this is why I like to use my little quilter's cut and press. For this job, I use a pair of curved scissors. That makes sure that I don't catch anything I shouldn't. And I'm just going to trim this off. There we go. So we've completed C. Now piece 2. Right here, place piece 2 fabric right side down, centered along the line stitched. So what that means is I'm going to take my piece number 2 and just line it up it says to line it up, it says you want it wrong side up, okay, and then you want to line it up right on that stitching line right there, okay, and you can tell in the next picture it's going to stitch about 1/4 of an inch over, okay. All right. Now it says flip and press piece 2 right side up. Now I'm going to turn my little board over. I'm going to flip it, and if you don't have an iron, you can use this little tool right here. Works really well. You just kind of give it a crease, okay, and that works just as well as using an iron if you don't have an iron. Matter of fact, that worked pretty good. I'm going to leave it like it is. Then you put your hoop back in. Step number 9, we're going to do piece 3. So here it says stitch the piece 3 trimming placement line. We're going to trim this off on the line. Okay. And you're going to take piece 3, right, put it face down and line it up right there and put it back in the hoop. Go ahead and do that to the other 2 pieces exactly the same way, and I'll see you right back here.